And remember, I'm your partner too, so if I have something to add, I will, because there's other people besides us that listen to these things. Take it away.
So today I'm going to talk about managing feed and forages for bovine bloat prevention. So I'm actually an agronomy major, but I'm pursuing a minor in animal science. So this is kind of my way of like incorporating agronomy into animal health. But with that being said, if I say any like agronomic terms that you don't know, please stop me and ask.
Okay.
So
Now, is this coming from a class that you've taken, or an interest, or where's this coming from?
kind of an interest in
Okay.
it because we've had a lot of problems with bloat in our cattle. So.
And it's funny, I taught to my 2:30 class this morning, and at least 15 minutes was on bovine bloat, and we also talked about canine bloat. Okay.
So just some general things about bloat. So it's a gas buildup in the rumen. It's normally expelled by irritation, which is belching. And then it's prohibited by an excess, or irritation is prohibited by an excess liquid or foam that prevents the gas expulsion. So and then we have this figure here that just kind of shows the progression of bloat. So here we have mild, and then moderate, and then that's very severe. And you can tell on each one that the left side looks like it's kind of swollen. And that's just from the air buildup in the rumen.
Yeah, and so, remember, I'm your partner. So this is the backside view, so obviously this is the left side, because the left side is where, the left side of the abdominal cavity is where most of the rumen resides. So you always get more left expansion than right. Now I like how they did this. The brown is the progression, You got a question over here already, great.
Yeah.
So I guess just an interesting thing that I learned when I learned about the gas buildup is that if it's bigger on the left side, then it's bloat, but then if it's bigger on the right side, pregnant, right?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, if you're on the backside view, if this animal is pregnant, there'd be like a protrusion out this way.
Yeah.
And years ago, you bring up an interesting point. One way to tell pregnancy on a cow that's quite advanced is you go up to this spot, and you press on the body wall, and then the fetus will bounce back and you'll feel it. That's how close the uterus is. You go like that, and then keep your hand on the body wall, and you'll hear a bump, or feel a bump come back. Because that's where the pregnancy is, yeah. See how much we can learn together?
And then bloat can be reoccurring. Those are called chronic bloaters. And I actually found ways to fix the problem. So you can get microbes from a healthy animal that has been butchered, or put in a fistula. But most people I know wouldn't spend the time or money to do that, especially if they're trying to make a profit. So the easiest thing would just be to cull them from your herd, just for both maintenance and breeding reasons. And then bloat can become life-threatening very fast, so it can actually get so bad that it'll suffocate them and they'll die. And so that's why prevention is so important.
Okay, remember, I'm your partner now. These chronic bloaters, when I was in Nebraska, what they would do those, because I was at a place that was 35,000 acres and we had a lot of cattle. Let's say you got a chronic bloater, so it's going to happen today, tomorrow, it's just going to be forever. What they would do, just as a stopgap measure, they would put a fistula in the left side, and it's called the left paralumbar fossa. But it wouldn't be those fistulas, that you see where you can put your whole hand in. You've seen those with the cover scoop top. It would be a smaller one, but then it would just be left open. So if you went by that cow, she'd have like a little stream running down her side from just leaving that open. And it's like, I'm just saying it's a stopgap measure. Like, let's say they didn't want to ship out any cattle. If you're a big lot, culling one animal, you don't do that. You wait for a truckload. So they would do that with these chronic bloaters. They just put a little fistula in with a trocar and then just let it be open.
Do you have to worry about like bugs and maggots and stuff?
Not really, because they would probably, and I'm not sure if they sutured the rumen wall to the skin, I'm not sure. I doubt if they even got that fancy. But remember, the rumen is all full of bacteria, right? So it's not going to, and they must have felt comfortable that wasn't going to drip into the abdominal cavity, otherwise you set yourself up for peritonitis. So I don't know if they left a little, I think they might have left a little sheath in there, but that's a good point. But that's what they would do, because you've got this chronic bloater. If you didn't do something, they would die. But you don't sell one. When you got like 10,000 in a feedlot, you don't sell one. You wait for the truck to come. So, yeah, but that's a good question. But I don't think they ever had any trouble. Okay.
So there are actually two types of bloat. So first we have feedlot bloat, which occurs from a high ration of grains with not enough roughage, and roughage just like hay or forages. And it occurs or it's indigestion by acidosis. So acidosis is a low rumen pH, usually caused by a sudden and extreme diet change. So like switching from solely forages to only grains or vice versa. And then so a way you can manage the rations is increase their ration to 15% roughage in the grain, or coarsely chop hay and mix it in with their feed.
And what's kind of neat, you could coarsely chop straw. I've seen cattle fed straw as part of their diet. Why you can do that? Because the microbes will break down the straw. No mammal has the enzymes, but the microbes do.
And then the second type is pasture bloat, which commonly occurs from a high consumption of immature legumes. So this is a picture of a legume root. So legumes are actually plants that can fix atmospheric nitrogen and use it for them, or put it back in the soil for others to use. But they fix it through these little nodules on the roots. And so legumes would be like too much clover in a pasture. So a way to manage this would just be to interseed grass or forb species, and forbs are like flowering species. So common ones would be orchard grass, timothy, big blue stem, sorghum, Sudan grass, forage turnips, or you can go to the Purdue Agronomy website and look at all the complete lists.
And Keith probably in agronomy does that. Do you know who
Yeah,
I'm talking about?
Keith Johnson.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I know grow their own hay, at least they do around where I'm from. So this way you can you have more control over what forages you are in your hay. So a general rule is just to keep track of your legume to grass proportion. So generally like a 50-50 proportion of legumes to grasses. And so, but not all legumes are actually bloat causing. So it's important to know which ones are and which ones aren't. Bloat hazard legumes are alfalfa, most clovers, and then winter wheat, which winter wheat is not a legume, but I was interested to see that it did cause bloat.
Wow. Yeah.
And then some bloat safe legumes are crown vetch and bird's foot trefoil. And so if you don't produce your own hay and you go buy it, so here's a kind of list of like common legumes and grasses that are in hay. You don't necessarily have to know how to identify it, but the producer should know what's in their hay field, so you can ask them about what it is and the proportions and stuff. And I designated the bloat safe ones just for future reference. But basically all clovers almost are bloat causing. And then legumes are actually, some legumes are actually bloat causing because they have a readily digestible protein in them, which causes them to digest faster than other things they eat, so that goes to a high production of gas in the rumen. And then general prevention is don't turn out hungry animals on pastures with high populations of small grains or legumes. So it's basically just supplement feed or a little bit of hay before you turn them out to pasture so they don't overindulge on the grasses. And then you can also use anti-bloat products. I found this. It's an anti-foaming agent. It's called paloxylene. And it's generally given to the cattle a few days before they're turned out to the pasture.
Yeah, because one thing about the foam, like if you filled up, think of a box with gas, it'd be very easy to get that gas out of there if it's one part, I guess, okay? Just like one compartment. But if you got foam, that's millions of little bubbles, and that's really hard to get rid of that gas, because if you put like a pipe in there, it's still, all the bubbles wouldn't burst, right? Although if you put a pipe in, it's a solid gas without the bubbles. So that when it's foaming, that's really dangerous because you can't get rid of the gas even if you want to. And I guess I can tell my little story now. One time my graduate student, we were doing sheep experiments and the mother died, and we had a little lamb that was orphaned. And so she took it home to her apartment. This was in West Lafayette. And the little lamb's name was Lamb Chop. One day, Lamb Chop developed bloat. And it was interesting, the left side of that little lamb, I mean, the lamb wasn't any higher than that. It was obviously in pain. Here's the treatment we gave it. We went to the drugstore and bought Gas X. Gave it to her, and it was dramatic. Like 5 minutes later, she's belching all this gas up. It was just phenomenal because I think it was like a lot of foam. And as soon as we gave her the Gas X, orally, it was just amazing how she was burping and everything was fine. Lamb chop.
We had a show cow that bloated at the fair, and so we went and gave him Gas X, and then we tied a stick around his head so that he would continually chew it so that he would belch.
Okay, yeah,
So-
that's neat. Yeah, see, so we had a common Gas X story. Okay, wow, we're good partners here. So, other experiences with bloat, or other things that you have a question of. Surely somebody has some experience with bloat. Do I have to tell another story? Okay. One time we turned out these cows, this was years ago when I was probably 8 years old, to a pasture, no, not a pasture, but a field that had some alfalfa. It was a very dewy, wet morning. And then we went to do something else. And then after about an hour, this car pulls up into the farmyard. And one of the neighbors said, "You've got some cows bloating out there, and I think one is dead." We went out there. Here's this one cow dead, and 4 legs up into the air. She had bloat so bad that imagine putting an air hose into a cow and filling it up as much air as you can. She died, she'd rolled over, and if I would have had drumsticks, I could have played a tune on her stomach, on her ventral aspect. I mean, it was stunning how bloated she was, and the kicker is that stops the diaphragm from working, so they die of asphyxiation. I mean, it was quite dramatic. I think there was another one that I don't know if we used, do you guys know what a trocar is? Do you know what a trocar is? Okay, a trocar is like, think of a sharp screwdriver that's this long, it's got a handle on it, but it also has a sheath over the screwdriver. Think of a screwdriver, sharp end, and then a sheath that goes over it, like another little part. You drive that into the left paralumbar fossa, and then you leave the outer sheath and you pull the screwdriver out, and you've got a hole into the rumen. And that's like if in emergency cases, if nothing else works.